Oh, I'll talk into the microphone. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'll come in front of the table. Welcome to the second annual Love NYC Dramaturg celebration. We are so happy to have you here, and we are really excited because we are here at Signature this year, which is really nice of them. Thank you, Signature. We are sponsored by the Literary Managers and Dramaturgs of the Americas. And yes, round of applause there. Our president, Sarah Freeman, is here somewhere in the audience. So you can find her later if you want to learn more about LMDA. The thing about this idea, last year when I was thinking of it, I thought there are so many events where dramaturgs talk to each other, but I would love more events where dramaturgs talk to other artists and other artists learn about the things that dramaturgs do. So that kind of was the origin of this holiday. I call it a holiday. It is the dramaturgy holiday here in New York City. But we are so lucky we have so many cool panelists today who are experts at various parts of theater, like such a wide range. So the sad news, Ira Weitzman is sick, but when you are sick, we still celebrate you at Love NYC Dramaturgs. So we are still gonna celebrate Ira and talk about his career. I've not introduced myself. I'm Katie Walker. Yeah. I'm the regional VP for the Literary Managers and Dramaturgs of the Americas here in New York. And I'm a writer, director, dramaturg, performer, most importantly today, dramaturg. And yes, so with Ira, Ira Weitzman has worked on so many shows, and it's interesting because he talks about being a producer and a dramaturg and not really separating the two, which I think is very interesting and cool. He worked on so many shows like Into the Woods, Violet, Once on This Island, like so many different shows. And we're gonna hear a song from a couple of them. This is a song that Ira picked out. We're gonna hear Love to Me from Netza Jimenez. And what else am I supposed to say? Oh, Ira talked to me about kind of doing dramaturgical work without realizing that he was necessarily doing dramaturgy. So I was thinking on the way here, it's like, I'm a poet and I didn't know it. I'm a dramaturg and I'm learning the word. But he was doing dramaturgical work all throughout his producing and collaborating with different people like Stephen Sondheim, Janine Tesori, like big iconic musical theater names. And one thing, I got coffee with him recently, and he was talking about how an artistic act, no matter who's doing it, is so vulnerable. And that act of vulnerability, when you have a dramaturg, you kind of have someone in your corner who's trying to uplift your work. And I kind of like to think of that as an act of love. So this is Love to Me for our love letter to the New York theater community. Yeah. Right in the Piazza.
This is Netza, everybody.
Hi. The day we meet, the way you lean against the wind, and do not know that you are beautiful, or that anyone is watching you. This is what I see. And I notice how you hunger for surprise, and do not think that you are tall enough. like you're standing on a mountainside alone. This is what I see. You're not alone. Now I see as I have never seen before. Since that moment in the square, when your hat is carried in the air, just so you can chase it, just so I can be there. This is how I know, this is what I see, this is love to me. Thank you.
Amazing. And that is Netza Jimenez and Sean Palatroni. Thank you so much to both of you. I'm going to come behind the table because this is where my clock is. I got this clock last year on the way to Love NYC Dramaturgs. It has a bear on it. It lives in my bathroom now, but it is here again for the event because I need to look at time. Talking a little bit more about Ira before the next song, I asked him the other day, I was like, would it be okay if I asked about Tick, Tick, Boom? Because if you don't know, Ira is a character in Tick, Tick, Boom. And I'm like, is it interesting to see yourself in a movie? And he's like, yes, it is. And he was talking about how he described what it was like working with Jonathan Larson at Playwrights Horizons at that time. And then he was talking to Lin-Manuel Miranda about it, and then Lin sent a script later and was like, are you okay with naming this character Ira? And he's like, yes. And I think that that's really cool to not only see yourself as a character in a movie, but also the presentation of a program that you created. There were so many musicals that were developed at Playwrights Horizons when Ira was there, and then he moved to Lincoln Center and kept producing and developing musicals. So I've named some of them, but I've written down the other ones that I haven't named. So there's also Passion, Sunday in the Park with George, Assassins, The Bubbly Black Girl Sheds Her Chameleon Skin, Chronicles of a Death Foretold, Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. So many shows that I feel are done everywhere, and they just have such an impact on people, whether they're in New York or whether they're somewhere else. So this next song, Waiting for Life to Begin, I actually decided to move to New York during the revival of Once on This Island. In the audience, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna move. So I personally love Once on This Island, but this is one of Ira's favorite songs from a show that he worked on. So we are gonna hear Morgan Robbins singing Waiting for Life to Begin from Once on This Island.
A stranger in white in a car going somewhere, going far. How must it feel to go racing wherever you please, flying as free as a bird with its tail in the breeze? Even the fish in the sea must be longing to fly, catching a glimpse of a stranger in white passing by. Oh gods, are you there? What must I do to get you to look down and give in? oh gods, hear my prayer. I'm here in the field with my feet in the ground and my fate in the air, waiting for life to begin. Mama's contented and Tauntaun accepts what he gets. Happy for tea in their cups with no holes in their nets. Happy to have what they have and to stay where they are. They never even look up at the sound of a car. A stranger racing down the beach, racing to places I was meant to reach. My stranger, one day you'll arrive. Your car will stop and in I'll hop and off we'll drive. We'll drive. Oh gods, please be there. Don't you remember your little T-moon from the tree? Wake up, look down, hear my prayer. Don't single me out and then forget me. Oh gods, let me fly. Send me to places where no one before me has been. You spared my life, show me why. You get me to rise like a fish to the bait, then tell me to wait. Well, I'm waiting for life to begin, waiting for life to begin.
Amazing, Morgan Robbins and Sean Calatroni. Let's give it up for them. So Morgan and Netza are both students at Pace University, and they joined us today in this celebration. Thank you so much to them for coming. A couple more things before we move on to the next panel. I did want to say that Ira is writing a book. So in a couple of years, you can hear from him on pages. But that is our celebrating Ira Weitzman. Let's give it up for him. Okay, now we are going to move on to our practices specialized panel. So theoretically, since it's PS, practices specialized, it's for the end of the letter, but we're doing the letter out of order this year, our love letter to the New York theatrical community. So PS is coming now. So we're gonna bring them out. Here we go, yes! Rhiannon Ling and Yoni Oppenheim. Welcome, welcome.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Yes, I'm gonna drink some water. Please do. And I've got my bear clock. So we are ready. So Rhiannon and Yoni both have projects that I feel like are a very specialized kind of dramaturgical work. It's not the only thing that they do. They are both very busy people who do tons of things. So I want to preface that as these are very specific projects that we're kind of gonna get in the weeds about, but they do a lot of different things. So look them both up, look at their bios, Rhiannon Ling and Yoni Oppenheim. We're gonna start with Rhiannon. So today, and I'll say you are a writer as well. You are a performer,
Yeah.
and a dramaturg.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about how you found Expand the Canon and came into dramaturgy?
So one of the projects that I'm talking about today is Expand the Canon, which is an arts advocacy organization that works to uncover and uplift classic theater written by women and gender-expansive playwrights throughout history, from 1600 to 1990. And I came across them when I was taking a wellness year. I went to an acting conservatory and had broken my hip.
Oh.
Yeah, it's great. It's fun. I went back home to heal that, got ever so fortunate to take a class with an amazing dramaturgy professor in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Wow.
And it was the first time I'd ever heard the word.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, this is something that I love to do. I mean, history, literature, theater, that's amazing. And something that I've always been deeply passionate about is the forgotten women of history. So I just started doing a Google search, came across Expand the Canon. It was the first year that they released their official public Expand the Canon list. This was 2020, a great year.
Oh.
Yeah. And when I came back to the city, I just reached out and said, hey, I was working for a theatrical publication at the time. I said, hey, can I interview you for this? And I've been involved ever since in a variety of facets.
Yay! So can you explain to people who might not know, what is Expand the Canon and what is this list that you speak of?
Yeah. So Expand the Canon came out of Hedgepig Ensemble Theater that was a theater composed primarily of femme artists that were working to make classic theater more feminist, shall we say. And they found themselves really having to bend far too much to fit into these roles. One year, someone brought to them a play by a woman playwright that had been written, I believe, in the 17th century. And they said, we all have masters and doctorates in theater, and we've never heard of this. Why is that? So what we do now is we uncover these classic plays. We currently, in our entire archive, have over 10,000 that are all written by, thank you.
Woo! That's a good number.
That is a good number, right? That are all written by women or gender-expansive individuals. So every year we release a publicly available list of anywhere from 9 to 16, depending upon how long the plays are, for people to be able to find and access more easily. Yeah, that's essentially what it is.
Yay! That's a great explanation. Thanks. So you are on their reading committee and their research team, right?
Yes, I do.
And those are two different types of work that you do for them, right?
They are, yes.
What does that look like?
Yeah, so for the research team, that can look like a kind of a variety of different things. It can look like combing through physical archives to try to hunt down plays that we have yet to discover in general, or we only have a digitized copy of, or we know this exists, but we haven't seen a physical copy yet. We have several members of our research team who do travel for that. We just had some folks over in the UK and Portugal.
Ooh, that's fun.
Right?
Going places is fun.
Or it can look like delving deep into some of these playwrights that we've come across that we don't know much about.
Yeah.
And trying to find who they were, what their type of artistry was, how they got into this, what their impact was in their own time and what it could be today. So my own personal work that I did this previous round with the research team was I read German. Yes.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Thank you. So I did a deep dive into German theater and found a variety of plays that have yet to be translated into English by women of Germany and the whole array of nations that Germany has been over the past several centuries, and was able to hunt down PDFs of them. So we have them now and can figure out how to translate them and how to get them into a more mainstream type of absorption.
Yeah. Do you translate?
It takes me a really long time.
That's okay.
Sure, no.
That's a fun skill.
Yeah, so that's the research team.
Nice.
And then the reading committee, which we are in the midst of right now, is a group of people, dramaturgs, actors, playwrights, directors, a whole array of artists that come together to read a selection of these 10,000 plays every year and evaluate them to then send onto our curation team, who ultimately decides what we release that year in our publicly available list.
So when you're curating this list, or like people are reading, it's always interesting to me, having read for different theater companies, what exactly are you looking for in an Expand the Canon play?
Sure.
Like a good, there I'm sure are many old plays.
Oh yeah, we like to say that women can write bad plays too. It's, yeah.
Gender equality.
There are bad ones.
For sure.
Right. So some of it, I would imagine, is quite similar to what you're reading for on the selection committees you've been on, which is, does the structure make sense? Is it something that an audience will find compelling? How is the prose or the poetry? Is it easy to understand? Is it hard to understand? How can we pitch that? But something that is equally as important to us is it as impactful today as it would have been then? Oh. Is it still, is it still applicable to a present day audience? Yeah. And frankly, did you enjoy it? Is one of the things that we ask always. Did you enjoy reading it? Would you enjoy seeing it? Yeah. So that is also on our little spreadsheet of tick-offs for when we're reading.
Amazing. So, can you talk more about, because you just had a reading recently for an Expand the Canon play.
We did.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, yes, I can. So we just had a reading in partnership with the acting company. A Bold Stroke for a Husband by Hannah Cowley, which was a comedy that was published and performed, to note, in 1783. It is what you wish Taming of the Shrew is. In fact, there are a couple of lines in Bold Stroke for a Husband where she directly makes fun of Taming of the Shrew, which is hilarious. This latest reading we had starred Peter Gallagher and Constance Wu, which were phenomenal people to work with, and we had an incredible cast outside of that. It is so unbelievably funny. And I've never seen it performed live, actually. I'd only ever read it. This was my first experience hearing it aloud.
Oh, that's fun.
It was so fun. And we had one of the ushers at the Public where we had the reading come up to us after and say, "This is the funniest play I've never heard of."
That's good feedback.
Exactly, truly. And that's really what Expand the Canon is all about, is exposing or giving exposure to these women and gender expansive individuals who, were already fairly successful in their own time, which I think is really important to note.
That's something that I don't think people realize, or at least I haven't realized. I'm not an expert on the time period, but I didn't realize there were so many women who were writing. But of course they were. Yeah. Why wouldn't they be?
Always. Yeah, I mean, to stay on Hannah Cowley for a moment, she was one of the most successful playwrights of her era, yet we don't talk about her today. And we have so many that have similar sort of stories. Women who ended up being plagiarized, or their work was improperly credited, but they were highly successful in their time. So what we want to do is expose that and them and their artistry to a wider audience, so that way you can say, "This is the best play I've never heard of."
Yes. Yeah. And also, you could do plays in rep.
Totally.
I think that would be really cool.
Absolutely. This one, like I said, great with Taming of the Shrew, but another one that I really love to point out is Susan Glaspell's The Verge with Ibsen's Hedda Gabler. I think would be an incredible combination, both about madness, quote unquote, in women. Yeah. And listen, not to get controversial, but I love The Verge even more than Hedda.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Hot takes. I don't know if they're hot. I'm not as familiar with The Verge, but I need to read it now.
It's a hot take, so.
Okay. I'm going to read it now. Cool. You also told me about one that inspired people to wear pants.
Oh, yes. Oh my God. Okay. So in Golden Age Spain, I don't know how familiar you guys are with Golden Age Spain, there was a playwright by the name of Ana Caro, who was a brilliant playwright. She wrote swashbuckling women. She writes crazy good monologues. If there are any femmes in the audience who need a good audition monologue, highly recommend her. And one of the plays that she wrote, Valor, Agravio y Mujer, had a protagonist that after her betrothed left her, she decides that she is going to avenge this tragedy and she's going to go kill him. She doesn't, it's a comedy. But of import is she dresses herself in the guise of a man. And following that, there was a massive uptick of women wearing pants in Golden Age Spain. And when they would be stopped on the street by, police or whomever was attempting to police their appearance, they would say, "Oh, I'm basing it off of Anacaro," and people who stopped them would say, "Oh, okay." So she had a direct impact on the world and the way that the world operated by writing that play.
Sometimes a playwright inspires you to wear pants.
Yeah.
I love that.
Right?
We talked a little bit about, so Expand the Canon is women playwrights, but also genderqueer.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about how that lens, we're looking, what kind of, we don't want to use modern terminology.
Right.
You'll say it better.
I got you. Yeah, so I'll attempt to make this brief. This is something that I feel really passionate about.
And it kind of leads into your other work.
It does, yes. So linguistically, as I'm sure at least a couple people in this room will know, we have changed terminology for gender identity and sexual identity quite a bit over the last few centuries. The terms heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, non-binary, genderqueer, all of that, the earliest one really came about at the turn of the century, at least when we officially started applying it to human nature. Before that, it was for flowers. So when we are looking back at these individuals, like Georges Sand, who some people may know, she was more popular than Victor Hugo in her time, of Les Mis fame. And Rothschild, who was another woman in France who insisted that she was possessed by a man. So she was actually a man and not a woman, but still used she, her pronouns.
Okay.
We have several of these throughout. Wu Zhao is another one who is a phenomenal Chinese poet. Who today may very well have identified as non-binary or genderqueer or gender fluid, but we don't want to necessarily apply those terms to them because we have no idea what how they would have expressed themselves today. What we do know is that they would often oscillate between she, her, and he, him pronouns. That depended upon who they were around. They were referred to as brother or sister. So we, instead of saying non-binary, genderqueer, we say gender expansive. People who felt that they didn't fit into the binary of their time and possibly today's time, and really made an effort to say, no, I am not just a woman. I'm also all these other pronouns and things. Yeah.
And that can be hard to find in archives.
Yes, it very much can. In fact, a lot of the outside of Rothschild was very open about this. She had a very contentious relationship with the feminine and feminism. A very complicated character. I love her. I won't go off on that. That's fine. Yes, but for a lot of these, like Wu Zhao, we get this sense, this proof, as it were, from letters that they wrote or were written to them, or from their poetry. So it's not necessarily from diaries or them saying outright, I use he, him pronouns instead. It's just someone wrote to them using that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, even if you don't have evidence, there's kind of a sense,
Right, because these are all people that were incredibly close to them. So why would they be using something like this if it wasn't preferred by the writer themselves?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think that is a great segue into Rewrite the BiLine, but let's give it up for Expand the Canon. And how can people follow Expand the Canon and learn about what you're doing?
Absolutely. So our website is expandthecanon.com. You can see all 52 plays that we've publicly released at this point in time. You can also follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at ETC Classics.
Nice. And now we will rewrite the BiLine. So tell
Let's
us,
do it.
what is Rewrite the BiLine?
So Rewrite the BiLine is another arts advocacy organization that works to rewrite the narrative surrounding bi-plus individuals and non-nuclear families through journalism, film and television, and now theater.
Yay!
Yeah. Did you have a question following that, or do you want me to continue yammering? I can yap.
So how did you first get involved with this organization?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's everywhere. It's not just New York based.
Yeah, they were founded in LA. So a lot of their core team, outside of myself, is in Los Angeles. Have recently expanded to New York. We have some people over in Germany and Italy, and we're also looking to expand to Chicago.
Ooh, Chicago.
Heck yeah, try down. Yeah, so for full transparency's sake, I am a bisexual woman, and I did not come to terms with that until my young adulthood, like 20, 21-ish. And when I finally went, oh, okay, that's me and I'm okay with that, I started looking into how I could connect with the culture and with stories. And as someone who's always been a theater geek and a literature nerd, I started digging into where could we find us in that. And came across Rewrite the BiLine via a panel they were doing surrounding how to authentically represent bi-plus individuals in film and TV. I ended up reaching out to them after and saying, I really loved this. This was so impactful and moving for me. Have you thought about extending this to theater? And their founder, Christina, said, we would love to. Would you like to join us? And then I joined on as a movement champion, as they call us, and as a consultant for theater.
And for as queer as theater is as an art form, there aren't a lot of bisexual characters that are explicitly bisexual, I would say.
No, in fact, great segue, thank you for throwing me that bone.
Yeah.
Part of what I do with Rewrite the BiLine at the moment, since we are just delving into the theatrical realm, is helping them to build, I actually have an example right here.
Yes, you have fun stuff.
I have fun visual. So this is what they wrote for film and television. And it is essentially a study on the bi-plus stereotypes and storylines that are found throughout film and television, and how we can combat those or better them, since they tend to be, fairly, what do I want to say, fairly derogatory in many, many ways. I've been diving into a similar thing with theater and trying to craft this narrative guide. And the very first thing that we have found is a lack, really, as opposed to, let me find the stereotypes. There isn't much. In fact, when I reach out to archives, libraries, and even some that are specialized in LGBTQ plus literature, they tell me I wouldn't have any idea where to begin. I have never heard of one. We don't have a category for that. So it's been a little bit like trying to find a needle in a stack of needles, as opposed to needle in a haystack.
That sounds dangerous.
Yeah, a little bit. And some of the ones that we can find are, as you said, they're not explicit. Like, one could argue that Lillian Hellman's The Children's Hour has one bi-plus character. Obviously, Rent, you could argue as well, to go back to Jonathan Larson, but many of them are not explicit, and many of them are some detrimental stereotypes and or not accurate to our history. So yeah, it's been really...
It's still helpful to have.
No, absolutely. I often say that when we're looking at types of representation, it is just as beneficial to have bad representation as good representation, so we can track it throughout history, right?
Yeah.
And even being able to say, like, oh, Lillian Hellman wrote that in the 1930s. That's crazy.
Yeah.
No one was talking about it publicly at the time.
Right.
Which is still a beautiful thing. So trying to sort of walk that line of they were being incredibly progressive, but at the same time, not in a helpful way.
Right. Well, they were being super progressive for the time, and now we can take it further and be more more accurate. I guess I'm curious because I hear about like like negative stereotypes about bi characters.
Yeah.
I feel like you hear that a lot.
Yeah.
You could probably give some examples, but
Yeah.
I don't know that it's like necessarily as fun to think about like what is good representation
Yeah.
of a bi character.
Yeah, which is such a good question, considering there really haven't been people who have been writing about bi plus figures in a positive light. So it's a really cool question of, okay, well, what would that look like?
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
To me, the first thing that I would say is lack of judgment, which I know sounds kind of meta and not very grounded. But having this sense of, well, it's very normal to be with someone of this gender identity and then break up with them and later have someone of this gender identity. Like, that's completely normal. We don't see necessarily commentary on it.
Like the playwright's not judging
Right, exactly,
themselves.
exactly.
Or the character isn't necessarily judging themselves.
Right, precisely. I would love if we could get to the point of we don't have to commentate on it. Mm-hmm. So it's just this person exists mm-hmm. and they have a partner of this identity and they have one of this identity and we don't really need to, it's not a big thing.
Yeah.
But for the time being, I will add, so few characters say, I am bisexual on stage, that is an incredibly powerful moment of positive representation mm-hmm. to say that. I feel like in many ways it's still considered a scary word. Mm-hmm. In a whole variety of communities and groups.
Right.
So having that is wonderful. Mm-hmm. And frankly, just like having them exist as a normal human going about their lives,
right.
as opposed to the marauders and the sirens and the
right.
The butts of the joke.
Right, right. Yeah, for sure. And we have you had an event earlier this year, and Eden talked about Lempicka. So
yes.
Lempicka, you could watch that at the Library for the Performing Arts. Would love to plug the Library for the Performing Arts. That's where I work. It's a beautiful, magical
yes,
place.
Yes.
But you can see that there.
Yes. For those who are like, what is that?
Yeah, what is it?
Yes. So Lempicka was a musical that was just on Broadway last year? Yes.
I think so.
Yeah? 2 years.
Oh, thank you.
Time's not real. Yes. It was a musical about the life of Tamara de Lempicka, a wonderful artist from the mid-20th century who was also a bisexual woman. And it was one of the first times I myself felt represented on stage. And I believe I share that with a lot of people within the community. At least I've gathered that from social media and from speaking with the people who came to this event that Rewrite the BiLine had in New York last October.
And like in a big commercial way too,
yes,
a Broadway mainstream production. So that's exciting.
Absolutely. And Eden Espinoza, who played Tamara de Lempicka, came and spoke at this event about how she herself was able to explore who she was through playing Tamara and frankly just being able to see nothing but absolute humanity as opposed to an archetype or a means to move the story forward.
Yeah. I love that. I also, before we move on, what are your earrings?
Oh my gosh.
I've been trying to figure it out.
I'm wearing my favorite tarot card, which is the Empress.
The Empress.
Yes.
What a good note to end on. Everyone, Rhiannon Ling.
Thank you.
Expand the canon and rewrite the byline. Arts advocacy. Woo!
And rewritethebyline.com if you want to.
Rewritethebyline.com. Yes. Follow them. Learn. Great. We are going to move to Yoni over here. Yoni Oppenheim. Woo! So Yoni is a director and a dramaturg and the co-artistic director for 24/6, a Jewish theater company. Also a translator.
Yep.
Yes. You do a lot of different things.
A lot of different hats, including this one over here.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So yes, I'm on your page. Perfect. So the telephone plays is a very specific project within the theater company 24/6, a Jewish theater company.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that theater company and then where the idea for the telephone plays came from?
Sure. I'm going to take it even a step backwards because Ira is not here and we were celebrating him, and I want to just talk about 2 moments in my
Yes.
life that his work impacted me and why I'm even here. So in high school, one of the very first shows I ever saw was Violet at Playwrights Horizons. And there used to be a program, High Five Tickets to the Arts, which gave high school students $5 tickets, and I'd never been off Broadway. I'd barely been to a play or a musical.
Oh my gosh.
And I came into, it used to be like a much smaller space than it is now. And it's like beautiful show, but like also shocking about the subject matter, about this girl who has a scar, who goes to a televangelist, and they were kind of all around you. Viscerally, I remember that experience of seeing that show and kind of from the word go, the possibilities of what a play or a musical could be about, the subject matter. And I wrote there was a competition, like an essay competition for high school students through this organization, and I won like 2nd or 3rd place in that, and I got like a printed review course, so I actually did well enough on my SATs to go to NYU and study at Playwrights Horizons Theater School. So that was one really, really important like pivotal moment for me as far as his work and how it resonated in my life. The other one is Parade, which I went to Yeshiva High School, Yeshiva University High School for boys up in Washington Heights. And you know, theater was not a thing. My best friend and I, who ended up co-founding the company with me, did our school's first show. We did Joseph at the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat with a cast of 9, all boys. And it was a really uphill battle to get that done. But one of my rabbis, my junior year, he taught like the Book of Prophets, 1 year, and then he was my main rabbi another year. And he came up to me and he said, I was just at Lincoln, and people did go to the theater. So like he came up to me and he said, he knew I was interested in theater, and he said, there's a show playing at Lincoln Center Theater about Leo Frank, and you should go see it. And he had been a Holocaust survivor who had lost like literally like everyone in his family besides for like 2 relatives. And he said to go to see the show, which was a big deal that he would be telling me to anyone to be going to the show, and I went to see it, and I was deeply moved. But again, what the subject of a musical
can be.
You could talk about the darkest and most serious of subjects. That was a proudly Jewish show that really celebrated, that ends with Leo Frank singing the Shema, the Shema prayer. And I rarely ever go to a play twice, and I ended up, me and this best friend who we started the company went to the final performance of at Lincoln Center of that show, and it's a piece that is in the DNA of why I do what I do, and I very much am grateful to Ira and the work of all these theaters to take theater seriously, to take what we can do, and in a way of expanding a different type of canon, what stories can be told. And as a young high school student, at the very beginning of learning, I used to sit in the performing arts library on the floor, like looking at sheet music, looking at books, and learning about theater through the library. Really opened my eyes to the possibilities and made me want to Harold Prince was a big influence to be a director, to be dealing with Jewish themed work. And then many years later, to found with this friend of mine.
Yes, what's the friend's name? Let's give a shout out.
His name is Avi Soroka, and he and a bunch of other people, we co-founded this company, and currently I am the artistic director. Ooh. And so we founded 15 years ago in December of 2010.
Okay.
And it's a Sabbath observant theater company, so it's for aiming to be a home for Sabbath observant theater artists, which is a big challenge because you're not working on Friday night or Saturdays, which is a big time to be doing theater. Right. So the idea was,
how do you kind of get around that? Like, what is the main way that you get around that barrier?
I think it's partially, I think there's a schedule thing of not scheduling things, not scheduling rehearsals or performances. Sometimes we'll have like a weekend event, but it's like part of a Sabbath thing. It's not like a show and people are buying tickets. But generally speaking, you're scheduling your shows. Saturday night becomes a big night to be doing stuff. Doing stuff around Jewish holidays becomes a big part of it. But creating a culture and giving people really opportunity who otherwise a resume would be really have a paucity of things if they want to pursue that as a career or or something that, I think theater is a calling, so it's very hard if you have a calling to not be able to answer it.
Right.
So to give people that opportunity to do that work.
Yeah.
So since 2010, end of 2010, doing that work our first show was actually this Telephone Plays, this 10-minute plays. We started off with a group learning of our community of the Rabbi Heschel's The Sabbath, which is a seminal book of the 20th century about the Sabbath, and we took one section of it and we studied it, and then different people wrote creative responses. Some of them were plays, others more like performance pieces that we presented together at December of 2010, and then we've done different iterations of that in different places throughout the years. Another play we did was, I have a master's in Ibsen studies. We did a dollhouse reset to Purim. It was post-Madoff, New York, so it was New York in the 2010s after the whole Madoff scandal, and this guy's getting a job in a bank. And it was set from Christmas, moved over to the Purim holiday, which is a very theatrical holiday, and we kind of played with those images of Purim and those characters from the Purim story and kind of layering them over, Nora and Torvald and the rest of the characters. And we even had somebody who wrote songs for that. There was even a musical element
component.
into
That's
it.
Cool. And then with Telephone Plays.
Yeah, so Telephone Plays is a first project in which the subject matter was not a Jewish subject matter, where until then, of all the last shows we did before COVID were 2 plays, Israeli plays based on Talmud stories, so you can get more Jewish and Talmudic than that. But I really have to thank LMDA for why Telephone Plays exist, and the reason is, early in COVID, LMDA understanding that we were all stuck at home and wanting to build community and be able to chance to reflect, encourage members to write essays about how they imagine what the theater might look like after we go through this. And
after this COVID.
Yeah, and they called it dramaturging the phoenix, because the idea of imagining what the phoenix will be of the theater rising up from the ashes. And I wrote my piece, and they asked us to date it so we know when we, so mine was 4:30, so April 30th, 2020, I wrote.
That was a time.
It was a time. We're all stuck at home. But in what I wrote here, can I read it a little bit?
Yeah, please do.
So I wrote, from one paragraph, theater is about sharing space and story with others to create empathy. In this moment of social distancing, when we cannot share space together, it is worth remembering something director Peter Sellers said during his recent online CUNY Siegel Center talk. Theater is designed to say, none of us are alone. None of us are outnumbered. All of us. It's all about solidarity. That was the end of his quote, even as the virus rages and social distancing is in place, we as theater artists can make a greater effort to reach out and engage with those who are always homebound and who rarely, if ever, have the privilege of going to the theater. Many theaters are sharing content online, making their work accessible to those who have not had the opportunity to experience it in person. However, many elderly and financially disadvantaged do not have access to the internet, to WhatsApp or Zoom. Folks have been buying groceries for homebound neighbors to care for their physical needs. We can commit to the act of performance by calling the homebound to make them feel less lonely. Perhaps read them a story, listen to them, learn from them. And that's, I'm gonna pause there, but that was like a seed of an idea that came up because I was asked to write something.
Yeah.
And then later in 2020, towards the end of 2020, I was thinking of this idea, and that's where I spoke to a social worker I know at a social service organization up in Washington Heights, and I said, I have this idea about doing theater over the telephone for people who are homebound because of all the stuff I just mentioned. And she really was thrilled by it because people were doing caring calls and calling, but they were kind of running out of things to talk about, which happens if you're calling someone once a week. And she was really excited by the idea of, if you have a play, you have a whole new thing to discuss and a whole different angle to go into a connection with someone else. So initially I commissioned 16 playwrights to write these plays, which are supposed to be around 10 minutes long. We're supposed to foster uplift and connection, and kind of avoid, harsh language. We were piloting in Washington Heights where there's still Holocaust survivors, so avoiding like Holocaust or anything dark like that. So how do you create a play that a lot of the things one would normally use in writing a play are kind of taken away. I've taken them away from the playwrights.
Right. That's like a big challenge, like to create a play when you don't want anyone to really feel emotionally triggered by it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's such a challenge to create something compelling that is also so uplifting in such a short amount of time.
I think it's an enormous challenge, and so I reached out to a whole bunch of playwrights, people who either worked with 24/6 before. I had interned at New Dramatist after college, and I'm still in touch with playwrights from then, so I reached out to a bunch of them. And also, LMDA was having these conversations about, there was a We See You White American Theater conversation happening, and I really want to make sure that even though actually the work of 24/6 has been quite diverse over time, that I really reached out to a diverse group of playwrights. And I reached out to Beth Blickers, to Heather Helinsky, to specifically ask about playwrights I'm not familiar with who are, diverse in age, in ethnicity, in background, in aesthetic, that there would be 16 plays would be like a smorgasbord of different, each play would be a different experience. And, you might love one, you might the other one be like whatever, but you would experience something new. Each person has their own, thing that they like. I got these, the writers to write these plays, and I gave them, also the other important part of it was so many players were losing production and commissions at the moment, and I wanted to gift them essentially with just send an email to somebody.
Something to do.
Being like, hi, I'd like to pay you, money to write something for us. So from both sides of making sure seniors and homebound individuals were experiencing live theater, and also that artists were getting work. And so what we did with with the Jewish Community Council of Washington Heights and Inwood, and with the Y of Washington Heights and Inwood, they essentially have work with seniors, and they also have volunteers who work with them. And the idea was to match up people who wanted to perform plays with seniors who wanted to experience some theater right now. And then I did kind of Zoom training for the performers on how to perform these plays. I had a one-sheet write-up of things to do, so they could so I could kind of direct them a little bit. And then we matched them up also just to rehearse with one another. And then they were assigned seniors to call. And all I got was I created a Google form. So at first, it was a one-on-one experience where a senior and one volunteer was performing the play, and it could be a play. Not all of them are monologues, some of them have multiple characters, so you're voicing different characters. Some of the plays are interactive, so they're prompts for the senior to respond to in the middle of the play.
Oh, okay, so they respond.
Yeah, so there are different styles of play, and also, of course, you can have a conversation afterwards. And it was a one-on-one experience, and all I got back was a Google form from the performer telling me how it went. And also if there are any concerns that the senior had, because I didn't want to work with a social service organization in case an issue came up for a senior. There was not just speaking into the voice. So for example, they're performing a play over the summer and the senior doesn't have an AC to be able to, they want to know where the local cooling center is, or just so that the organization then could reach out to them to make sure that they're cared for and they're okay. And just my own background, I, for 6 years, worked at a senior center doing improv for seniors. I led an improv for seniors group, and then through New York City, there's used to be called Spark, which is Seniors Partnering with Artists Citywide, which essentially placed an artist residency, which placed artists in senior centers to do work with them and then to create something. So I did that 2 different years. So I had a lot of experience working with seniors and thinking about and had a relationship with this Y. So this project came out of also a background in having done that work before. And then it went really well, surprisingly well. And then I wanted to expand it. So there's an organization in Upper West Side called Dorot, which in Hebrew means generations, and it's a senior service organization whose catchment area is a large portion of Manhattan. And they have, since the 80s, a telephone-based program called University Without Walls, which is lectures and classes and everything's over the phone. And I reached out to them about doing this project with them, but their project is up to 15 people are on a call. So it's on the phone still, but there's a group. So
and it's not plays with them.
It was about doing the plays with the group. So now, since October of 2021, I've been the one, because it's hard to manage a conversation with 15 people you can't see. I've been the primary performer at this point. So it's me, usually performing it over the phone for a group of up to 15 seniors.
So it's a group call.
So a group call.
So they started as one-on-one calls.
Exactly, and some people still do the one-on-one.
Okay.
But now it's primarily I do it as a group call. So, and the University Without Walls session is 15 minutes, but 50. And our plays are around 10 minutes long. So the beginning is every session I have them introduce themselves of where they're calling from. And people call not only from New York, people are calling in from Las Vegas, from California, from Arkansas. Just they're able, it's free, and they're able to call in. And they sign up and they're called in actually because mostly much older seniors, it's like 80s, 90s. I've had once a 106-year-old was experienced telephone plays.
Wow.
So they're called into the call, and then I call in as well. And we have them introduce themselves so we know who's on the line and where they're calling from. And then I usually give them a prompt that's related somehow to the play that I'm going to be performing for them. So we get the juices rolling of a context for what this play is about.
Yeah.
And then I read to them the bio the player has provided, and then I perform.
So you're kind of like a vocal program.
A vocal program meaning?
Yeah, like a program that you.
Oh yeah, I'm a vocal program. Yeah,
like giving some dramaturgical context.
Yeah, and it's been a change because at first I really wasn't giving that. I wasn't giving context, but I wanted to let the plays speak for themselves. And then I realized when you go to the theater, usually you have a program.
Yeah.
So to give a bit of not say background, but to give some context for the play, and then really the act 2 after the play is performed is I lead a conversation where they get to share about their own lives and how themes of the play relate to themselves. So this past week, I did a play by Aridi Knox called Dear Grandmother, which is in a world set where one can call the future. And this grandmother is calling her unborn grandchild, who she's never going to meet because she knows she is sick. Right. So I asked them, if there's someone in the future that you'll want to call, was my prompt before the call.
Yeah.
And some of them wanted to call, you want to know what their loved ones are going to be like in the future. One of them was afraid about AI, so she doesn't want to know what's going to happen in the future.
Fair.
And then afterward, they asked them, if you were on the receiving end, who do you want to get a call from? So they were talking, these are people in their 70s, 80s, 90s, talking about a grandparent they never met that they would have loved to have a conversation with, or someone they miss. Or one woman said that her cousins knew her grandfather or grandmother, but she didn't, and she was told that she's so like this grandmother that she'd want to have a conversation with her to kind of meet part of herself.
Yeah,
which I thought was such a beautiful image to think about. So each week, and I have right now we did this coming Monday will be the 3rd of 6 performances every Monday at noon.
And they're always Mondays.
Currently, I schedule them on Mondays at noon. For February, I was choosing plays by Black playwrights to celebrate Black History Month. So I think the next one I'm going to do which is a favorite of mine, Judith Waiting by Dale Orlando Smith, which is a beautiful short piece that she wrote about this retired librarian in Brooklyn whose nephew comes to visit her during COVID, and it's the first time they're having a chance to see each other. It's interesting because it started as 16 plays, which I commissioned in late 2020 and early 2021. And at this point, I just finished commissioning the 38th play. It was performed at the end of 2025. So they're very much also like a time capsule of a moment.
Snapshot in time.
Yeah, so.
What were people thinking about at that strange time?
And what they were feeling and what they were exploring and how much they brought themselves into the work. So that's been really fascinating to see the plays as a snapshot in time. I still do them, but they obviously resonate differently as some of them as a historical piece almost, over this time forgotten, and others, not. And I've noticed in the last group of plays, seniors had asked for, in the last round, to have some more explicitly Jewish ones, which I was kind of avoiding because there had been a rise in anti-Semitism and they wanted something celebratory. But some of the plays that came out of it was interesting, touched on quite dark things, because I think we're living in as bad as COVID was and as crazy it was, people are feeling this great upheaval even in this moment now, and it is coming across, sometimes they find a way to make it hopeful, but make the plays touch upon like darker things, which I will give them feedback. If the two things I will give a playwright feedback on are if it's too long, and if it's like way too dark. Like I need them to pull back slightly because I don't want to trigger. Not even happier, but maybe like less explicit in in something. But generally it's been actually, we think dramaturgs as ones who play doctors and this has actually been an exercise in trust, in trusting that a playwright knows what they're doing. And it's our jobs as dramaturgs, as actors, as directors, to make our job is actually to make the thing work. To trust them. So it's been very rare actually to give feedback, and it's very light about those two specific things which were in the commission letter. Other than that, it's been a beautiful way to be like, oh, I can actually trust a playwright. It's on me as a director, as an actor, as a dramaturg to figure out what they meant and make it exist.
It's also cool, when we talked earlier, it's very immediate. So many plays are like kind of stuck in development for so long, or they're becoming themselves. So I kind of love that these are live on the phone, immediate, ready.
It's live. It's not, people usually record them, and I record them just for archival, just so I have a recording of the thing. But the idea is that it's a live event. Like that's why I do theater, that's why I love theater, is that it is a live connection between people, whether we are sharing space, like right here, or we're sharing time, like over the phone, where we're in the same time, but we're not physically together. And the voice is deeply intimate to be able to talk to someone over the phone. And many seniors grew up, I think last year you had a panel about radio plays, right? Audio plays. They grew up with that. So it's a context that they're familiar with. And my hope with the project is that, that I find other partners to be able to have other people doing the plays, or me performing it for other homebound individuals outside of the network that I'm currently working in.
That's amazing. And I feel like so important to just even living alone during the pandemic, I feel like, and I was on social media and connected everywhere. I feel like still, I was living for phone calls. I was living for FaceTimes, that kind of thing. So I just applaud the work that you did and are doing.
Yeah,
That's
because
really important.
we experience that isolation. Seniors today are still feeling that isolation. They're still living at home. Not all of them, but many of them live at home. People who love theater who cannot go to the theater because physically they're not able to, they can't afford it. And because this is an audio-only project, it's also attracted a lot of people who are low vision or blind, who are in the process of losing their vision. And on the calls, because it is a group call, they find community with other people. And sometimes somebody who's on the beginning of that journey of losing their vision can talk to somebody who's been blind since they're a teenager and get that support in that community. So it's been really beautiful to see amongst themselves as a group. Because some people are repeat callers. They will, I do these Monday 6 performances, in the fall and the spring, and they'll sign up, season to season, year to year, and they kind of develop friendships amongst themselves and creating community, which I think goes back to Peter Sellers' thing that we're not alone.
Yes.
But they are alone, and it's our job as theater makers to make sure to, just like you're talking about expand the canon, and who is not in the space, both on stage and in the audience. If they're not in the audience, asking, well, where are they? They were here 2 years ago. If they haven't passed, theater should be checking in on their, on their audiences who are now homebound and making sure that they feel a connection.
Yeah, expanding the audience, I feel like, is huge.
Yeah, we're very focused on getting young people in, but I think you have to wonder, well, that person used to come all the time. Why are they not coming and checking in on them as well, and making sure they're cared for?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think that's a good turning point.
And if I may, I just want to uplift something that you just said, Yoni, which I think is such an important question to ask in dramaturgy specifically, is who isn't here? Who is missing?
Yes.
And why? And what impact does that have? I feel Expand the Canon and Rewrite the BiLine does very similar work, just more historically, I suppose. But I find that so deeply important, so I just wanted to amplify that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you you so much to both of you, Rhiannon Ling and Yoni Oppenheim.
Thank you, LMDA. And
Thank you, LMDA.
Doing this reminded me to renew my membership, so I encourage everyone also, renew your membership.
Yeah,
if you're not a member, please
if you're
join.
not in LMDA,
It's an
the
amazing
Literary
community.
Managers and Dramaturgs of the Americas, you can join a community of dramaturgs and learn about their work. And yes, and if you're in New York, you can come to events here with us, and that's fun. Great. Hooray!
Thanks, Katie. Thanks, everyone.
So next up, in just a few minutes, we are going to have the current collaborations panel. We are going to have Jonathan Kalb from Theater for a New Audience come on up, and we are going to have Cooper Howell from Cats on Broadway, opening soon, coming up now. Yes. So I will find them.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
How are you? So good. Good afternoon.
Okay, so these are our current collaborations that are currently going, shows that you could go see now or later. So, now or upcoming. So, we're gonna start with Jonathan. You are the resident dramaturg for Theater for a New Audience, and have been for a while now. It's been, yeah. So, could you maybe talk about when you began at Theater for a New Audience? And
Sure.
yeah.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming, being here. I am a critic and a college professor
Scholar.
and a theater scholar. I was writing, I wrote for many years just as a critic and as a scholarly writer about the theater. I wrote for 10 years for the Village Voice. I had a column of my own in New York Press for 4 years. I wrote for the New York Times. And I also wrote books about the theater. And
Yes. Heiner Muller.
I wrote a book about Beckett, about Heiner Muller, about marathon theater. But in 2009, after I had written a few arts and leisure pieces about Theater for a New Audience productions, the founding artistic director, Jeffrey Horowitz, called me out of the blue.
That's fun.
Dreams.
I met him, I think, twice. I was on a panel there once, and he said, would you work with me? And I said, what? As what? He just said, I need someone to talk to. That's how he put it. I
Yeah.
need someone to talk to. He didn't use the D word. And
What's
so
the D
we
word?
had coffee.
Oh.
Dramaturg. Dramaturg. Yeah. So we had coffee, and he just said, I need somebody. He liked my writing. And that was really what it came down to. And he liked the way I thought about theater, and he said, I need someone in the artistic leadership of this theater that I can run decisions by and talk to about questions of repertory. Mm-hmm. And that's how it began. I was like a consultant for a year. And then he had hired Aaron Arbus as an associate artistic director, and she had directed Othello off-Broadway with John Douglas Thompson. And he wanted her to do another production, and she was going to do Measure for Measure. Mm-hmm. And so he said, well, would you work with her as a dramaturg? So there's the D word.
It's here.
And I actually went to graduate school in a dramaturgy program. I went to the Yale dramaturgy program. So I didn't need it to be explained to me what that was. Mm-hmm. But my question was, why would she want to work with me? Oh. You know, I mean, she doesn't trust me. She doesn't know me. It seems to me that that is a position of trust. Why would she care what I think?
You seem trustworthy to me.
Thank you, but you're not directing something.
Not yet. Not
So,
currently.
So he basically, he said, just meet her. So he just put us in a room together and said, meet each other, And so we talked. We talked for, a half hour or an hour, and I said to her what I just said to you. Why would you want to work with me? And she said, let's just give it a try, see if it worked. And it did work. It was a very good collaboration. And now it's 16 years later, and I have done 10 productions with her.
Wow. That's amazing.
That is a real close collaborative relationship that's grown over time. And this is what I was saying to Katie, is that I can't imagine being just hired as a dramaturg on something out of the blue. Because for me, it's about relationships. It's about my relationship with Jeffrey. Because he's the one who called me and said, I want you to be part of this process. You have to be wanted. You have to be trusted. Someone has to care what you say.
Yeah.
That's really the first thing. And so that's my long answer to your question.
Well, and I think that is the best collaborations, when you do trust someone and care about their opinion and want to hear it. I think that's when you have the best collaborations. So you have worked on so many shows.
It's been a long time. Yeah.
I'm curious, because I don't want you to choose a favorite. That seems rude to ask. You don't want to choose your favorite show. But are there any productions that you refer back to in your current practice where you're I'm thinking about this one production while I'm doing this one?
I'm not sure I understand the question about thinking about another production.
Say you're about to dramaturg a certain production. Are there any productions that you go back to, in reference, when you're thinking about it?
What I feel like I bring, everybody brings what they have, and what I have is a great deal of experience theater going. When I was writing for New York Press, I went to the theater 4 times a week. I saw over 200 productions those years, And even in another year, I'm a member of the drama desk, and so I need to be informed about what is being considered for awards. So I still see, between 80 and 100 shows a year, and that's been going on for 40 years. So, when we start a production of Coriolanus,
yes,
I have seen that 5 times.
That's a lot for Coriolanus.
It is. But see,
a lot of tragedy.
I'm kind of, a Martian in that way.
That's cool.
I lived in Germany for 2 years, and I also speak German.
We have so much German here.
And that is a theater with another intense relationship to the canon that is different from ours.
Yeah.
And so, one of the things that I bring to First Conversations is my sense of what are the opportunities and pitfalls of this classic play. Because I've seen it before. I've seen it work, and I've seen it fall down, and I want to bring that into the conversation as early as possible.
Yeah.
Aaron in particular is really interested at a very early phase of what I've seen and where I think it could have been better.
Yeah.
And I like bringing that in at the planning stage.
Yeah.
And then we have guest directors, who don't want to know any of that. And you have to be sensitive as a dramaturg to what is welcome.
Yeah.
You don't just
You're
say
not the same
things.
for everyone.
Yeah.
You
There are
adapt.
directors who do not want to know anything about other productions. They don't want to know what you've seen that was good or bad, and that's the emotional intelligence that the job requires, is just seeing, read the room,
Yeah, reading people.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I feel like a very important part of dramaturgy that people don't necessarily know is the people aspect of just knowing when something is right to bring up. I'm curious with Coriolanus, which is playing right now. You can go see Coriolanus. That is the production that I asked Jonathan to talk about, but then we were talking and we're like, there's actually so much more that we could talk about on this panel than just one show. So
sometimes a director is able to say what she wants, or he wants, or they want. And that makes it easy on you, because then they just tell you. And you do the best you can to be, a partner. But then there are other times when I suggest things that come out of my experience.
Right.
So, for example, Ash, the director of Coriolanus, Ash changed from Ashley to Ash and is now a they, so if I get the pronoun wrong, please forgive me. It's just my history. But Ash wanted to think a lot about certain things, and I listened to this list of things, and then in my mind, I thought, there are these 3 or 4 other things that I feel like maybe the actors might want to hear about.
Yeah.
And I just ran them by Ash, and Ash said, yeah, okay, come in and do that, because you don't want to step on a director's authority,
Right.
That had to do with, for example, Coriolanus takes place in the early Roman Republic. I mean, people know little enough about the Roman Empire. The Roman Republic.
People think about it a lot, though.
The Roman Republic is a
Guilty.
very obscure,
All the time.
ancient place, But
All
this
the
is a
time.
play that takes place in the political situation of the early Roman Republic. I thought it would be interesting for the cast to know, what is a consul, the office that Coriolanus is up for in the election? What is the power of the Senate? What is the power of the plebeian tribunes who are newly, given power? And what is the body that they, have authority over? There's so many scenes in the play that Shakespeare, the audience doesn't have to know these things. Shakespeare knows what he's doing. And he's writing a play in which the rules can be obscure because all that matters is the exchange of power. But the actors, might want to know exactly what's going on, behind the scenes. It helps them. And so I came in with some suggestions about what the actors might want to know a little bit about, and they were grateful for that.
Yeah.
So,
And I feel like this is a great opportunity to kind of talk about how dramaturgy can take different forms as well. Like we talked about a lot with Ira's work, developing shows, and then there's work to be done to uplift shows from the past and make sure that they're done well and done accurately.
Well, I don't know about accurate. I don't know. That's a word.
Yeah, it's a loaded word for sure.
Yeah, I mean, what artist wants to be called accurate?
No, that's fair. That's fair. It's a word that came to me, but it's not. I'll not use it again.
But this is part of the weird status of dramaturgy is if you have expertise and you're trying to wield that expertise in an artistic forum where, I mean, we work in the theater, and the theater has this very odd relationship to facts in the first place. I mean, the theater is dealing in illusion and manipulation of facts, even when it's great. It's actually using the same tools as these horrible politicians that we hate,
Yeah.
But we want to tell ourselves that it's doing it for, a beneficial purpose, and that's all fine. And then you come in as a scholar who has facts, from the past, and you have to be careful. You have to be careful how you wield them and how you sort of say that they matter. You have to ask whether they matter or how they might be useful.
Right.
The most interesting case where that came into play with me was in our production of The Merchant of Venice.
Yeah.
The Merchant of Venice, which starred John Douglas Thompson, is a production I'm very proud of. Was built around John's desire to play Shylock.
Yeah.
And, Aaron is a director who does not come in with a concept. She comes in with a lot of questions, and I love that. The play is always about exploration, finding the answers. And this is why actors love her, because she's just going to let them find their scenes and their moments. And so, I spoke to Aaron a bit about what I'd seen and what the pitfalls are, the same conversation we always had. But when the play began and a decision was made for this to be a diverse cast around John, I started thinking about my experiences teaching this play. This is actually a radioactive play. I don't know how much the audience knows about The Merchant of Venice, but The Merchant of Venice is actively using anti-Semitic stereotypes and tropes.
Yes.
It is a reaction to an even more deeply and stereotypically anti-Semitic play by Christopher Marlowe, and it's Shakespeare's attempt to make something even more popular with similar stereotypes, but then it does the Shakespeare thing of giving the man an inner life, and so he's become this immortal character who great actors want to play, but that does not take away the anti-Semitism in the play, that the play is actively using, the bigotry of the people in the play, and the use that the play has been put to through the centuries in order to do damage in the world. It has actually been used for ugly purposes itself. And, you know, what I know as a college professor is that people don't always know things you think they know. You think they know, you think everyone knows about the medieval stereotypes of the Jew in the mystery plays, about how they had a hooked nose and a red wig. And then you say in class, oh, you know, and you see blank faces, they don't know. And so I spoke to Aaron about this. I said, you know, what if there are questions about this substance, this radioactive substance called the text of Merchant of Venice, that the cast is wielding, that they are afraid to ask about?
Yeah.
Maybe it would be good for me to just come in and give a presentation about the stereotypes that are in use, how Shakespeare changed them, what it meant to have a Jewish character and be a Jew at that time, and just a little bit about how the play has been used in various political tendentious purposes over the years, so that they know, so that nobody has to pretend to know, and they can just be people who know.
Yeah.
And that turned into a 2-hour conversation with the cast, which Aaron asked me to come and repeat when the play was reproduced to go to Edinburgh in Scotland.
Ooh, I love Edinburgh.
You know, that made me feel like I had done something that needed to be done. You know, in the production process.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
You ate that. That was great. That was great.
Yes. Before we switch over to Cooper, I want to also uplift your other, because you've talked about being a scholar, and I feel like talked about being a critic. Being a critic and I think being a dramaturg have such an interesting kind of relationship to be, like in the dramaturgy process, to be kind of working to find those pitfalls that you were talking about, and then to be a critic and kind of find them later. Do you kind of approach them differently?
You have to know which hat you're wearing. I do think that the reason that Jeffrey or any good director wants me in the room is because of you know, my critical judgment.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I'm saying things exactly the same way in a room with them that I would in print, where I'm being, you know, paid to write an interesting piece, and I think I owe a certain kind of different kind of integrity to my readership.
Right.
You know, the founding document of the profession of dramaturgy is a collection of essays by the German playwright Lessing called the Hamburg Dramaturgy. It's 104 essays that he wrote, you know, twice a week for 2 years as a sort of in-house critic for a theater in Hamburg in the 1700s. And, you know, he was a little pissed off about certain things because he wasn't included in the choosing of plays as he was promised. And yet, you know, theater criticism was new at that time, and he had an incredibly sharp critical eye, and he started writing about the theater's own productions in his magazine piece every week. That he did not get thanks for. And so after 25 numbers, the actors, and particularly the actresses, said, "You can't write about me anymore."
Oh, no.
So this conundrum that you're talking about an in-house critic and what the proper place for it is sort of hard-wired. It's baked into the birth of this profession. Mm-hmm. Lessing got it wrong, and then had to use the rest of his magazine pieces to just write about the plays.
Right.
But I would never do what Lessing did. Never.
Never.
I would never, just talk about what's wrong with the performances of the people in the plays that I'm working with. But if I was asked, I would say it in a constructive way,
Yes.
what I thought to the director.
Yes.
You know, you're always trying to say things in a way that is helpful. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, you know damn well that certain things are never going to be fixed in certain productions. Not everything is perfect because it's in your theater, you know?
Right.
But in that case, your job is maybe to leave those things aside.
Yeah.
And spend your limited time with the artistic director and the director talking about what can actually be improved in the 5 previews we have left or whatever.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I feel like that's a very good answer.
Okay.
Also, fun Lessing fact. Well, actually, this is kind of dark. The holiday I was thinking, oh, it's around Valentine's Day and also when Lessing died.
Today?
Not today, but around this time. I don't remember the exact day. It might be the 15th.
Wow.
Yeah. So shout out to Lessing, but also Valentine's Day, love letters. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Oh, and check out Jonathan's Theater Matters blog. You want to talk a little?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I write a blog. I write about twice a month. It's on my website, jonathankalb.com, and it's called Theater Matters. And Katie just mentioned it, and that's because I asked her to. So.
Read it. Yay.
Yay.
Okay. Now we are going to end on Cats.
Hi,
this
everyone.
This is Cooper Howell, who's the associate director for
Hello,
Cats,
hello.
the Jellicle Ball,
Yes.
that is opening on Broadway soon. And it's so fun. I met them at my wonderful job at the Library for the Performing Arts.
Yes.
They came in to watch a show, and we became friends.
Yes.
And now you're on this panel, which is wonderful,
Yeah,
representing
so fun.
all of the cats.
Meow. Yeah.
So I kind of was curious because you came into this show a little later, but you came in a very interesting way.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about your origin with Cats?
Sure. First, I want to shout out Katie. This is an amazing event. I know that you really love this. This is really cool. Shout out Dramaturgs. I really love and appreciate the hard work that y'all do. And shout out Theater for a New Audience. I feel like two productions I've seen of theirs like radically changed me as a human being and a theater goer.
Which ones?
I saw Prosperous Fools, which is absolutely my favorite show I saw last year, and I think it was a collaboration with Soho Rep, but Fairview. I saw that with my white father, who went down onto the stage while I sat in the audience, and we had a experience that we still talk about in the Howell home to this day about race and stereotypes. So it was really amazing. I really love that space. Yes, so I am a retired actor, very, very gratefully retired. And when I started with Cats, the Jellicle Ball, I actually auditioned for it, and I was the original Rum Tum Tugger. So I started the very first workshop of Cats, the Jellicle Ball as the Rum Tum Tugger, and then also did the second workshop as the Rum Tum Tugger, where we recorded a demo album for Andrew Lloyd Webber's company to sort of show him. At the time, the music was being completely remixed into ballroom style, and we wanted to show Andrew what it would sound like with the song's remix. So I sing on that remix album.
I want to hear that.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. The Andrew Lloyd Webber of it all.
Yeah.
I love him. He's my boss. He's great. And then around the third workshop, I had an experience as an actor where acting just was a nightmare for my mental health. It just was a complete nightmare. I was raised in a Mormon cult in the mountains of central Utah, and kind of found that acting was triggering all of the very same auditioning, having to be a certain person kind of trauma that I had been working my whole life to abandon. And so I had a full meltdown in my audition, just a full meltdown, and did not get cast, but they had an opening for the assistant director, and directing I've always known my whole life is my calling. My dad was the theater critic for the Salt Lake Tribune, and my mom was an actress, and so theater was essentially just in my lifeblood, and I always knew that I wanted to be a director, so I applied and got the job.
Woo!
And then for the PAC production, I got promoted to associate director. So the Broadway iteration, I guess, is my 5th go-round with this production.
And it's your Broadway debut.
And it's my Broadway debut.
Woo!
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes, thank you.
And can you explain the concept of Cats the Jellicle Ball? Actually, first,
Absolutely.
I'll tell a little story
Oh, no.
about young Katie. Young Katie, and I didn't know this until this week.
Yeah.
There was a video, I knew this part. There was a video that I really loved to watch. It was a Barney movie, and there was a Cats trailer in that Barney movie.
Yes, I had the same VHS growing up.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, the egg?
Yes.
The egg of many colors?
Yes, of course.
Okay, and Bernadette Peters sings
Yes.
the opening song. It's great.
My bae. I love her.
But anyways, this trailer I loved. And apparently I sang it like I got on top of a slide at a little kids class. I was like 3 or 4, got on top of a slide and sang the whole trailer at the teacher. What a thing to receive. It's a long trailer.
It is, but I can see the cat sliding down the slide, and it's like, experience the whatever the.
Yes.
Yes,
So
I could see it.
People are very attached to cats, and they have feelings about it. Like some people are Cats fans, some people.
And some people hate it.
Some people hate cats.
Definitely.
What is this concept of the Jellicle Ball, and how does it kind of infuse into the Andrew Lloyd Webber?
So ballroom culture and Cats the Jellicle Ball, Cats the musical rather, they essentially have the exact same premise, where a marginalized community comes together to essentially self-aggrandize themselves in a way that the culture outside of themselves does not. So ballroom culture was founded by queer, Black, and Latinx communities because we live in a very racist country where we freed the slaves and then said, you're not allowed, so you're free, but you can't have jobs, you can't eat at this restaurant, you can't drink at these water fountains, you can't wear certain clothes, you can't go here, you can't go there. And so the marginal, especially for queer communities as well, because we also live in a very Christian nation, and being homosexual and Black is just like that's a lot.
Right.
And so if you are stuck in being both a marginal part of a marginalized community and part of a sexual orientation is also marginalized, what are you supposed to do?
Right.
And so ballroom culture essentially came from the idea of how about we, in defiance of the larger culture around us, why don't we throw these balls where we get to actually radically own the people that we are, and we get to be whoever we want, and we will celebrate whoever we think that we actually are. And so the idea of Cats the Jellicle Ball is laying that right on top of what ballroom culture is. Because Cats, as a musical, essentially is 2.5 hours of cats singing I am songs, right? No, truly, it's like, I am this cat, and these are the things that I do, and I radically do this, and I'm not going to change, and this is who I am, and that's it. And it's like 2.5 hours of that. until a cat comes forward and sings the one and only I Want song in the whole show, which is Memory, which is probably like the most famous musical theater song maybe in the history of musical theater, arguably. And she sings that song where she says, I used to be this person, and I don't know who I am now, and I'm really hoping that this community will accept me in not knowing what that thing that I am is. And spoiler alert, they do. And she wins the prize.
Being the cat.
Being like the grand prize winner, which also happens at balls. So there's different categories where there'll be like a realness category or a body category or a runway category. And the winner of each of those categories is the person who is the most radically authentic to what that category is.
That's really
so
cool.
if it's like realness and the category is schoolboy realness, that means that everybody that is walking schoolboy realness in this ball comes dressed up, in their Jan Sport backpacks and has headphones on and is chewing bubble gum and has dirty sneakers. And the winner is the one that is, you are the most believable of this. And at the end, there's a grand prize winner. And so looking at the structure of Cats, which doesn't exactly have a structure, but putting the structure of ballroom on top of it, it really fit like a perfect glove. And actually kind of makes Cats the musical make sense, you know? Ta-da! So, yeah.
We love it when things make sense.
Definitely. Yeah.
That is amazing. Do you want to talk a little bit about the creative team that you're working with?
Oh my gosh, I could talk about this all day. Yes, yeah.
Briefly, but yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
Oh, you want to see the bear?
Oh, it's cute. It's a bear.
It is cute.
I love that. Okay, so Cats the Jellicle Ball was originally conceived 20 years ago by Bill Rausch, who was the artistic director of the Oregon Shakespeare Festival for about 20 years. And he, maybe I'm making this up, Bill, if you see this video later, please forgive me, but I believe the story goes that Bill was at a gay bar and someone was singing karaoke and was singing Memory. And he thought, wow, there is something very inherently queer about cats. There's just something like, and that is like kind of what it feels like being queer. Like you just are essentially removed from culture at large. You're sort of on the periphery. And Memory essentially is a song about living on the periphery, but once upon a time you used to live inside of the not periphery.
Yeah.
Anyways, so he's been thinking about this for 20 years. He brought a dramaturg on named Josephine Kearns, who is also a gender consultant. And then, yay, gender consultants. And then brought in Omari Wiles, who is a ballroom icon. And the three of them, for about a full year, started to conceive what this could look like, what songs were certain categories, and they started doing the puzzle piecing together. And then Bill got the job as the artistic director of the Perlman Performing Arts Center at the World Trade Center and pitched this as his sort of inaugural production, and they said yes. And Bill realized how gigantic Cats actually is as a show. It's a true circus. Like it is so huge. And his idea for Cats the Jellicle Ball actually made the show double in size, because in actual Cats, you dress up as in your leg warmers and your full cat attire, and then you makeup, and then you dance your ass off, and you never leave the stage for 2 hours, essentially. But in this one, everyone's competing in categories, so everyone has about 6 or 7 or 8 costume changes. There's actual magic happening. It's like a full spectacle, and so all of the teams doubled in size. So Bill brought on a co-director, Jalen Livingston, and yes, the best, a genius. And then Omari brought a choreographer Arturo Lyons on, who is another ballroom icon. And so there's two of them, there's two choreographers. There's actually another associate director whose name is Naomi Allure Stewart, who was in Prince Faggot. I don't know if any of you saw that production.
I
She's
did.
She's the one that vogues at the end.
I saw it with
She's
my boss.
Oh yes, amazing. That must have been very interesting.
I think he left.
Well, yeah.
No,
It was very sexy. Yeah, it was very sexy. Anyway, and she's more of a ballroom consultant, so she kind of acts as a dramaturg that's from inside of the actual culture. And Bill and Jalen have a rule that the best idea wins at the end of the day. They are extremely democratic directors. And so truly the creative team, we have had 4 years of constant Google Meet meetings where we come through everything and discuss and discuss and discuss. And every day in rehearsals is just like a giant village putting a show together. It's really kind of amazing. I've never experienced a creative process like that. It's awesome.
Do you have any favorite numbers? Can I ask that?
I don't know if I'm allowed to have a favorite, but I particularly like the Bustopher Jones number, where it's about 25, 30 minutes into Act 1, where the audience really is kind of like, okay, ballroom and cats, okay, I get it, yeah. And then Nora, who is just the most talented actor ever, comes in as Bustopher, and the category that Bustopher walks is the body category.
This is Nora Shell.
Nora Shell, yeah. And as soon as the body category begins, which is essentially 3 minutes of people walking up and down the runway, radically owning whatever body that they're in, the thesis of Cats really makes sense. I feel like watching Andrew Lloyd Webber watch the show for the first time, I could see. Oh yes, that was definitely the number where he zeroed in and thought to himself that, okay, this really works. And I love how Nora owns the body that they're in, and the crowd really goes apeshit over it. It's so fun to watch. Yeah.
That's so fun.
Am I allowed to swear? I've been swearing a lot. It's too late. It's too late to ask for permission.
I think so.
I'm so sorry if I offended.
I don't know, actually. But I think we're fine.
Okay. Damn it.
Yes. So I guess my kind of, actually, what was your relationship to Cats before this process?
Before we moved to a middle of nowhere town in Utah, my family actually lived in Connecticut. And my parents being theater nerds, we took a train into Grand Central Station every Saturday and saw a Broadway show. So from between 1994 and 2000, I must have seen every major Broadway thing on Broadway. It was really cool. My parents are Mormon, but they're very liberal artistically. Go figure. And my very first Broadway show I ever saw was Cats at the Winter Garden. Liz Calloway was my Grisabella.
What a full circle.
Yeah. Really, really crazy.
Wow.
And I remember coming onto the stage, they let you go on the stage at the Winter Garden, and you could like walk around the junkyard. And I just remember being on stage at the Winter Garden and being like, this is everything that I want to do for the rest of my life. So Cats really has this magical attachment to me of like what I believe my destiny is. I remember Liz Calloway floating up into the ceiling on a tire and being like, I have no idea what's happening, but I'm so moved. I'm so moved.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
it's cool.
It's also like, what a time to be doing Cats on Broadway.
The Trump administration is the best thing that could have happened to Cats the Jellicle Ball. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I'm not here to make a political statement or whatever, but The Trump administration is literally in the middle of having an identity war. They are truly trying to dictate what kind of identities get to have rights in America. And Cats the Jellicle Ball is a show about the radical transformation of communities when you accept people for who they are. Like, that is what Cats the Jellicle Ball is. And to have the hero of Cats the Jellicle Ball be a black trans woman who, in her rags, walks down the runway and sings, "Touch me, it's so easy to leave me." It just like is a history and art just colliding in this extremely beautiful, beautiful way. It feels, when we did Cats in 2024 at the PAC, it felt like, look at this cool experiment that we did that we think works. And now it feels like an act of war. It really does. And it is so satisfying. It's so satisfying. Because I feel like you have to be a truly broken person to come see Cats the Jellicle Ball and not leave with like a warm heart and a smile on your face. So, yeah.
Yay, when does it open?
Okay, so previews start March 18th. Professionally, I'd like to ask you to not see it until we open on April 7th. so April 7th.
April 7th.
Yes.
Woo! Amazing! Thank you so much to both of you.
Yes, of course.
Our current collaborations, Cooper Howell and Jonathan Kalb. Go see their shows.
Yes. Thank you, everybody.
Theater for a new audience. Go see them. Yes. So I will do a little ending thing.
Should I leave?
I
could stay.
You can stay.
To go away?
I don't know.
Does I don't know mean yes?
I think so. Okay, we are at the end of our second Love NYC Dramaturgs. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to Signature for the space. Thank you to the literary managers and dramaturgs of the Americas for sponsoring us. Thank you so much to Susan and Steve and Cindy Sorrell and James Sorrell. We are so grateful, and I hope that you had a good time celebrating theatrical collaboration. We will be going to the West Bank Cafe. If you want to come and buy a drink, we'll be there. You can hang out and talk about any of the projects. I think Cooper has to go back to Cats because they're on their lunch. But I think that other people will be able to stick around for a little bit and you can talk to them or meet new people. Thank you all for coming.